Maybe? Have you tried just putting a wall plug down on the pillow without active connection? Yeah, we tried it earlier. There's not snapping. Unfortunately. Oh, that's just a predicament now. It's the predicament. No, fine. It'll get fixed. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Let's connect power up here so we can get them turning on. I've had less crashes in update 8 than I did. Yeah, 7. There was a lot of crashes with 7. Like with 7, there was that whole. There was a couple of days, wasn't there, where we had the crazy frame drops when we had tried attaching a belt from the ground to a wall or the ceiling. Something to do with a hologram. That was crazy, wasn't it? Y'all should have been there at the time frame where we originally meant to release it. Was that when you was meant to do that video? Is that the same time? My God, no. Is the cable line bugged as well? I can't grab onto this line right now with what got added to update 7. I can't connect a new attachment onto this. You can't insert them anymore too. Oh shit. Okay. Damn. And damn. If I cut this is gonna cut power to everything. I best be quick. Best be quick. Has it been added to the QA site? Does anyone know? Tastes like candy canes at Christmas. There's nowhere near as many reports on the QA site as there should be. Ooh. Hey, Shinny. Hello? Da, 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 da. Mm, mm, mm. Running power with train tracks. Train tracks have got power, but the train track is not. It is going to go to the train station, but the train station is not going to provide power to the building. That's what I'm using the power towers for. The power towers are now going to be the main source of power. Yep, signs underneath. Yep. Signs are OP now. Exclamation mark QA, guys, if you need to report anything. Don't just direct him to Snook because he's there. He won't do anything about him. QA site. QA. Back on ears? Welcome back, expert. A Anubis, hello. How you doing? How does a tower give a power source? Okay, so whoop, you have one tower. Let's just add that here, right? So the cables at the top is just aesthetic purposes. These just basically add another tower, you know, to it, right? But the bottom side of the tower can have up to 4 connections, just like a, you know, floor is too steep. Can have up to 4 connections. So you use these because, one, they can travel real far compared to normal power lines, right? And you use these to have longer distances instead of putting, you know, power lines all the way through the floor there, you know. And then you split it off. So you'll send, basically what you want to do is you want to do this like I'm doing here, and then you want to get the bottom connection, connect that to a the logic power switch, the circuit breaker switch, and then connect that to the building, which means then you can the priority switch, and then you can disable and have priority switches at your building. So, and then you can prioritize it to, like, if you want it to be, if it's in like the number 8 category, for example, and then you run out of power, that 8 category will shut off. But then 7 might stay up because you've only just gone above the limit. Oh, that's weird. Look at the ghost in there. You see that? Ooh. Ooh, on the skybox. Oh, did I not? Got little spectators. Do you have TSR on? Yes. Yeah. I don't think I need it, do I? Technically, if I'm in 4K, right? It's just gonna be a resource of. It's gonna be a resource hog, isn't it? CSS video just dropped. Nice. It might be pretty useful for you if you're in 4K, actually. Okay. I can do some science on it as well. All right, let's watch this Satisfactory video. Let's see what it's all about. For fuck's sake. This is fine. Everything is fine.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I'm a community manager at Coffee Stain Studios, and Update 8 is out now on Experimental. Thank you everyone who joined for the stream on Tuesday. It was really, really fun, and it's been super cool seeing people playing Update 8, finally getting out to you guys on the Experimental branch. And now, while the launch was...
I'm not so... Is this, which account is this? All right, you got two accounts signed to... You got 2 accounts signed to it. Look. All right. Wow. Wow.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I'm a community manager at Coffee Stain Studios, and Update 8 is out now on Experimental.
Now you've got like a dead account.
Thank you everyone who joined for the stream.
Inappropriate numbers.
On Tuesday. It was really, really fun. And it's been super cool seeing people playing Update 8, finally getting out to you guys on the Experimental branch. And now, while the launch was, relatively smooth, there are some bugs that have been reported, as well as FPS issues that people have been talking about as well. We are running into some of this stuff, and we are checking the QA site. But today, what I want to talk about is just some of the things that we've seen, and also provide some troubleshooting tips for, like, yes, we are looking at, like, the things that you've reported.
Sorry. Sounds like Jace has got a fan on in the background.
And we're investigating certain things, but also there's some things that you can try as well. And then in doing those things, you'll actually be helping us as well. So it's a symbiotic relationship here. We're working together, team. Okay. So hopefully that'll be helpful. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about the updated hardware requirements. We talked about that back in the Unreal Engine 5 video a few weeks back. It's the same, but we're going to expand on it a little bit more. So hopefully that the requirements make a little bit more sense or more meaningful and set expectations correctly. Okay, so if you're interested in that, stay to the end of the video and we'll talk about that then. But quickly, 2 things. First thing, wiki, all right? We got a new wiki, satisfactory.wiki.gg. So the people who've been contributing to our wiki and making it as amazing as it was before want to move to a different platform, and we're just supporting them in doing that, okay? So if you want all your wiki stuff and new Update 8 information and things like that, go to satisfactory.wiki.gg and check out the new wiki. Hopefully you like it. Second thing, back up your saves. Okay, moving on. So first things first, you might be wondering, maybe you're new here and you're like, what the hell is Experimental? Okay, what is Experimental branch? The Experimental branch is our pre-release branch, and that's where we release any of our major changes or even not so major changes first, so that people who, are dare to fly close to the sun can play the features early and test things out, give us feedback. We can fix things, stabilize things, and then we move things over to the early access branch. And now everyone who owns Satisfactory has access to the Experimental branch, whether you're on Epic or on Steam. In Epic, it's accessible by simply just going to your library, and you'll have 2 versions of Satisfactory. One will be Satisfactory Early Access, and one will be Satisfactory Experimental. Install and play the experimental version, and you're on Experimental. On Steam, you need to find Satisfactory in your library. Right-click on it, go to Properties, go to Betas.
God, how many times yesterday did we have this question asked? Was it yesterday? Yesterday was no Wednesday. Wednesday.
And then there'll be a drop-down box, and from that drop-down box, you'll be able to choose Experimental, and that's how you opt into Experimental. You switch it back to the empty line to go back to the normal version of Satisfactory. But most importantly is that you should back up your saves, because saves are not compatible from like a newer version of the game going back. So if you run into any issues and you want to revert back, you may not be able to load your saves in the old version, right? In the early access version of the game. Not only that, but sometimes cloud saves do strange things that no one can ever predict. So back up your saves whenever you mess around with this stuff. In the description below, there'll be a path to where the save files are, okay? But Experimental, as it says on the tin, is indeed experimental, and oftentimes there are some growing pains when it comes to playing on the Experimental branch. And this is no different this week. All right, there have absolutely been some issues that people have run into.
Sorry, I had to pause this, but it's kind of breaking news, but it's about another game. If you're a content creator in chat, Starfield are now doing key considerations via key mailer. Just thought I'd throw that out there. This it's not sponsored with JC's video. Just saying, if you want to get a key.
And that they have reported on our QA site. QA site is questions.satisfactory.com. And you can let us know any bugs or feedback that you have. You can put it there. And just bear in mind that, like, I'm actually recording this on Thursday, so you're watching this on Friday. This is recorded a day early. And whilst the team is constantly checking the QA site, and we're checking socials and things like that as well to get an understanding of like what kind of experience people are having with Update 8, anything could have changed between yesterday, which is today for me, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, so everything I'm talking about here is relevant to Thursday. All right, so let's talk about some of the bugs that you guys have reported. People have reported that train tracks are rotated. Train tracks that have been built with blueprints are just rotated for some random reason. This is a purely graphical bug. They actually continue to function normally. And I don't think this has been patched in yet, but the team will fix it.
No, I had it about 5 minutes ago.
Fix it. Another bug that people have been talking about have been the inability to slide underneath belts, specifically Mark III.
That's been fixed.
4 and 5 belts. This has actually been, we put a patch out last night actually, and I believe this was fixed in that patch. So anyone playing as of today, Thursday, the patch went out Wednesday night. This should not be a problem anymore. We also had people reporting missing water. Graphically, the water was missing. You could still swim, but you couldn't see the water. That has.
This is a quiz. Do I get socks if I win?
Also been fixed and patched with last night's fix, apparently. Allegedly, let us know. Also some collision issues in the southern forest, I think with trees. They had like massive collision boxes on them. I believe that has also been patched as well. Another issue people have been reporting have been like fart rocks after you destroy them. Their gas clouds remain. It's like, well, what's the point of destroying them then? Well, this bug doesn't happen for all the fart rocks. It happens to some of them. And also that gas cloud is just a visual bug. So the gas is visually there, but you can walk through it safely and functionally within the game. It's not there, but we'll be looking into it. And there are absolutely more things too. I just want to let you guys know that we are checking the website and the QA site, and people are working really hard to fix what they can. And then, as I've mentioned earlier before as well, we're going to be patching over the next couple weeks as we can, but then we have a vacation period, so there'll be a period where there'll be like no patches for a while. But then after that, we'll continue patching again. So if you see that nothing's been done for a few weeks, even though there are bugs in the game, it's just because it's the vacation period, and we will be picking it up again immediately afterwards.
Yeah, basically just doing the priority stuff right now, so it's playable. And then anything like the power cable thing, that's not a priority, but it'll get fixed.
Keep your bug reports coming in, and we'll go through it afterwards. Okay. Now there are two other issues that I actually want to focus this video on today, because I think it's I can do the most to help people in this video when it comes to these two issues here. And those are poor FPS or stuttering, constant stuttering when playing the game. And then also a graphics card related crash. And the one that I'm talking about specifically is a D3D util.cpp, current queue.device, get device removed reason. That is in the error message that if you get this crash, you'll get the crash reporter and you'll see that. So first of all, let's talk about the graphics card real quick. First of all, from what we can see from our information in the back end from the crash reports that you guys send in, is that this crash tends to only affect, or seems to mostly affect, higher end cards. We're talking a lot of 3070s, 3080s, 3080 Ti's, 3080 on laptops, 3090 Ti's, and RX 6700s. And the tricky thing with this is...
That's why a lot of you yesterday, well, no, Wednesday, was saying you're on a 30 series card and you're having a lot of trouble. I'm guessing.
This is something that we can't really do too much about at the moment. Maybe driver updates in the future will help. Maybe there's more things we can do and we're investigating. The team does have some ideas of some things, but for the moment, I don't think there's anything we can do immediately to solve this issue. And it is happening fairly common to people who have these cards, unfortunately.
Like, I obviously I'm on a different series of card, but like the only thing that's fixed stutters and like crazy things that I was having it on Wednesday, like it's buttery smooth for me now. was I just changed foliage loading distance to default. That's the only thing I'd done. And it stopped all the hitches, the crazy freezing. That's the only thing I've done, is change that. So if that could be one of the problems out of many, but just try that if you're on a 30 series card and just see how it is. That's the only thing I changed and it helped.
However, there are some things that you can do, and so I'm going to let you guys know so you can do what you can, and hopefully it helps. If it doesn't help, let us know on the QA side. The first thing is update your drivers. We're using Unreal Engine 5 now. This is like cutting edge stuff, so it's really important that whatever graphics card that you're using, you are running the most up-to-date drivers that you can get. It's very important, and it makes a really, really big difference. And that is the first step if you're having these issues. Check your drivers, make sure they're up to date. Another thing you can do is if you're using an NVIDIA card, you can try switching to the studio-ready drivers instead of the game-ready drivers. And we've actually seen that the studio-ready drivers, for whatever reason, seem to not have this crash. Or as often. So you could try that as well. If you try it and you still get it, let us know on the QA side. We would love that information. Well, we would prefer you let us know that it works, but if it doesn't work, please let us know so we can so we know. Another thing you can try.
For those that don't know how to get it, go to your Geforce experience, and when you're in this, go to drivers and click this 3, and then click that studio driver there. Because some people ask that on Wednesdays, how do you switch? That right there. It worked.
Default, the game runs on the DirectX 12 graphics API, but we also support Vulkan, so you can try and switch to that. But please note that if you switch
when you're using like studio stuff, Blender, all that kind of things, right?
graphics APIs and the game crashes, and then the game no longer starts up because it tries to load the graphics API.
Audio going funny? What do you mean? Hello? It's fine now? Okay.
That it can't support, and
Wait, let me go back here. Cut out for a second. Cut out for a bit. We're fine now though, right? We good? That was weird.
Or as often. So you could try that as well. If you try it and you still get it, let us know on the QA side. We would love that information. Well, we would prefer you let us know that it works, but if it doesn't work, please let us know so we know. Another thing you can try and do is switch to the Vulkan graphics API. So by default, the game runs on the DirectX 12 graphics API, but we also support Vulkan, so you can try and switch to that. But please note that if you switch graphics APIs and the game crashes, and then the game no longer starts up because it tries to load the graphics API that it can't support and it keeps crashing, there are solutions for this. And the two solutions are that you find your game user settings .ini file and you delete it. I'll put a location for that file in the description below. And when you do that, the next time you start the game will restart with default game user settings, basically, including reverting back to DirectX 12, and then you should be able to start the game up. Another way you can do this is you can actually force graphics APIs using launch commands. It's -DX12 for DirectX 12, it's -Vulkan for Vulkan, and DX11 for DirectX 11, but we're deprecating DirectX 11. It is technically supported. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And if you don't know how to use launch commands, more information down below how to do that. Another thing that we've noticed with this crash is that sometimes if you have a stock overclocked GPU, then actually disabling the stock overclocking can help as well. So if you have that, consider trying that and seeing if it helps. And if it does or doesn't, let us know. The next major thing I wanted to talk about is the low FPS that some people are getting, as well as the constant stuttering that some people are getting in the game. And it is clear based on the feedback that we've gotten from people that there are some people out there who are getting a lot of negative effects when it comes to their performance with Update 8 compared to Update 7. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about various video settings and some solutions that you might be able to do to mitigate some of these issues. And one, so that you're more aware of what options you have and what you can tweak so that you can hopefully get the performance that you want. But also, number two, is so that when you guys let us know that you're having FPS issues, it'd be great, super good, if you can include information about like what settings you have now. Maybe if you can test again on update 7 on the early access branch, tell us like what settings did you use there, what settings did you use in update 8, what different, are there any differences between those settings, and how that affects your FPS. And the reason why this information is super useful for us is that like some people are saying that they get less FPS, but we're not sure if your settings are actually the same. And this is made more confusing because some people say, well, I played on Ultra on update 7, and I'm playing on Ultra on update 8, and I'm getting half the FPS, right? So it's the same settings, but it's not actually the same settings, because in update 8, there are new video settings and technologies in, and actually when you use Ultra, the Ultra quality preset, that automatically turns on TSR, which is an anti-aliasing technology, which is like a noteworthy load on your hardware. And so if you have TSR on update 8 and not on update 7, they're not apples to apples comparisons. So this makes it really tricky for us to understand, okay, wait, people are getting less FPS, but is it because of everything, or is it because of some differences in their settings? So if you guys could please check really closely what settings you use when you give us this feedback, it will help us tremendously. Not only that, we also have the global illumination, or lumen as it's called, option in the game as well. And this is something that we know that some people have turned on and got less performance and are like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? No performance with lumen. But the thing is with lumen is this is actually a setting that we have said multiple times before that we are not officially supporting. We're having it in the game so people can just turn it on and play around with it, maybe take some screenshots, or if it works for you, then you can play with it, right? But we're not gonna optimize for it, and we're not gonna tune our lighting in the game for it. Basically, this is something that we're not committing to, but we just want to leave it in the game so that you guys can just play around with it. Having said that, though, this information is not clear in the game, or it wasn't in the game clear in the game as of recording this video. But I believe that this will be updated a little bit so that it's more clear that that it's an experimental thing, or that we're not committing to it, or you're going to get low performance, basically. Another thing that we've done is we've stripped out the cinematic quality setting for global illumination as well. And the reason for this is essentially that the quality gain from the highest setting previously to cinematic is actually negligible, but the load on the hardware is tremendous. And for some people, it's so tremendous that it's like the menu slows down so much that it's hard to turn off. And we think that that's just not good for anyone. We're just gonna get rid of it for now, okay? Okay, so let's talk about specific issues and specific troubleshooting things you can do. I may be repeating some things that I've said before, but I want this all in one chunk if we can, okay? So let's just go over the troubleshooting things, just things you can try. A little checklist, if you will, okay? If you're having issues, run through this part of the video, okay? The first thing, update your graphics drivers. Make sure that is up to date. It's really important.
There has been one since the release, by the way. There was a graphics driver update on Wednesday.
Okay. Second thing, make sure you verify your game files, okay? And you can do this on Epic or on Steam, and this basically is a process.
Or Tuesday night.
That make sure that the files that were downloaded are indeed correct and there's no corrupt files or anything like that. On Epic, you just find the game in your library. There's 3 dots underneath the banner, or the whatever, the icon of the game, and then you can choose verify. And on Steam, you can right click on the game in your library, go to properties, go to local files, and then click verify integrity of game files. So make sure you verify your game files. The next thing, if you're getting low FPS, is to disable TSR anti-aliasing and use FXAA or TAA instead. So previously in update 7, we only used TAA in update 7, but now we've added FXAA, which is a more efficient anti-aliasing, and TSR, which is, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's a double-edged sword. Okay, so for some people, it's gonna tank your stuff, your FPS, but for other people, it actually may be beneficial. Okay, so if you're having low FPS and you're on TSR anti-aliasing, try and turn it off. Try switch to the other ones and see if you get anything better. Especially if you're finding yourself getting stuck at 2 FPS and the game does not recover until you restart the game. This is usually from a VRAM, you running out of VRAM, and then like the game right now cannot recover from that for whatever reason, something we can look into. But if that's happening, if you're running out of VRAM, and you can check if you're running out of VRAM by checking your task manager and checking your GPU, then I would highly recommend making sure that TSR and global illumination are off, just to make sure that like you're giving yourself, your GPU, as much VRAM to work with as possible. Another thing you can do to make sure that you're giving your GPU as much VRAM as possible is to check to see if you have any other applications open that might be taking some VRAM. Because Unreal Engine 5 is so VRAM sort of like heavy.
but keeping your Twitch stream open is fine. Anything else, turn it off.
And really sort of requires it. Any sort of like extra amount that you can free up while playing Satisfactory will go a long way for you. But of course, we're going to be looking into what we can do as well to optimize that and make that better as well. But there's some stuff you can do too. Next thing is that if you do want to use TSR anti-aliasing, try and run it in performance mode, which is a 60% screen size. So it's just like an upscaling thing, right? So if you set it to 60% screen size, this will be a more performant version of it, and that might work a little better. And then also, currently at the time of recording, this might have been updated actually. We previously had an Insanity preset for TSR, which is essentially just the anti-aliasing and no upscaling. And this really reduces performance. We've changed. I think we've changed the wording now. So that it doesn't say insanity anymore, because some people were confused. Like, does insanity mean like insane performance gains, or is it insane quality and low performance? And we've made that a little bit clearer now as well. So the next thing you can do is you can turn off global illumination or lumen. It's global illumination in the video settings, and this is off by default, but maybe you've turned it on. Not only that, there are quality settings, so you can try and just reduce the quality, and maybe that'll help. Or you can just turn it off entirely to make sure you know, you're running as lean as you can. And then, as I said earlier, it's important to note that we're not officially supporting Lumen. Okay, we're just in the game for you to play around with, but we're not committing to making it performant, and we're not committing to tweaking the lighting of the game to make sure everything looks good in Lumen. It's just there to have fun with if you can run it. The next thing you can do is just switch to lower video presets in general. We have some like quality presets for, you know, shadows and all that kind of stuff. And you can always just try lower those. You can also custom tweak things and test stuff to see like, well, maybe there's a specific thing that if you turn that up, you see a big...
Just delete motion blur. Just delete it. If you're a PC and you use motion blur, you need shooting. If you're on console, they're on their own kind of thing. Just leave them over there.
Hit, then you know it's like, oh, maybe it's just the shadows that are...
Only Snut uses it for his videos. For extra cinematic.
Screwing with me a little bit. So you can always, you know, tweak your video settings as well. Not only that, we've added the foliage loading distance in there as well. So you've got a little bit more tweakability here to try and find the best performance for you. If you're running into any D3, D12 crashes, important things to try there is update your graphics card drivers, but also you can try and consider running Vulkan instead of DirectX 12. You can either switch that in the video options menu, or you can force them using launch commands, which is -DX12 for DirectX.
What it is, I think it comes from more of a PvP sort of thing. So think of it as like PUBG, all them sorts of games. When you've got motion blur, you could lose track of targets through motion, and it makes it, you lose a lot. That's where it comes from, I think. 12 and -Vulkan for Vulkan. The launch commands are also helpful to know in case your game is crashing when switching these APIs and no longer opens because you're on an unsupported one. So you can use these launch commands to get around that. As an absolute last resort, if nothing else is working and you're still getting low performance, you can also still try and use DirectX 11. Now we're deprecating DirectX 11. You can no longer choose it from the video options menu, but it is still technically supported. And the way you can access DirectX 11 is by using the -DX11 launch command. Okay, so you can still do that. And when using DirectX 11, it will hard disable things like Nanite and Lumen, which, you know, those things sort of eat into your VRAM. However, because we're not really, you know, we're sort of deprecating DirectX 11, we're not really supporting it completely anymore. We can't really promise decent performance or quality in general, but if you've tried everything else, this is a decent last resort. You can just try out and see if it helps you. Okay, so those are the troubleshooting things that I wanted to talk about. One other thing that some people may have spotted is that there's actually a run hardware benchmark feature in the video options menu. And the purpose of this is that you can run a benchmark, it'll check your hardware, and then it'll like set the settings to something that makes sense for your hardware so that you should get good performance. However, right now as it is, that is actually not done and doesn't really yield any sort of meaningful results right now. But the goal is to have that actually functioning correctly. Would it not be better just to remove that from the menu? I don't know if it's there now, right? But it's not ideal to just remove it from the menu for now?
So that, you know, if you're not really sure what you should do with your settings, you'll be able to just run the benchmark and you'll hopefully be getting some settings that...
the benchmark's not... The benchmark thing that technically isn't working just yet.
make some sense for your hardware. And so lastly, what I want to talk about here today is going to be the updated hardware requirements. As I said earlier, we've talked about this in previous videos before, that we're changing the minimum spec hardware requirements. And the one thing that I want to talk about specifically is the GPU. We are upping the GPU from the GTX 770 and what we said in the previous video was to the GTX 1650. Now, I think this set some incorrect expectations when we said this. And I think largely because, first of all,
sorry, hold. Bork, bork. Bork, bork, bork.
Well, one, it is a better GPU, the new minimum, so that's true and that's fair. The updated hardware requirements, as I said earlier, we've talked about this in previous videos before, that we're changing the minimum spec hardware requirements. And the one thing that I want to talk about specifically is the GPU. We are upping the GPU from the GTX 770 and what we said in the previous video was to the GTX 1650. Now, I think this set some incorrect expectations when we said this. And I think largely because, first of all, one, it is a better GPU, the new minimum, so that's true and that's fair. And so I can understand that if some people aren't really happy with that minimum going up, right? Having said that, though, the jump from like 770 to 1650 in version numbers sounds really, really huge. However, the 1650 is not a super performant or high-end card, and it's actually not that much better than the 770. And so what we want to do is sort of like have some newly defined requirements here, which should hopefully set the correct expectations. And you can let us know if you are happy with those expectations or not, but at least we're more correctly defining what it is you kind of need in order to run Satisfactory moving forward. So the newly defined requirements are as follows. NVIDIA GTX 1650 or GTX 1050 Ti, or AMD RX 470 or RX 570, or some equivalent GPU with equivalent performance and VRAM. I know.
Everybody good with that? You all good with that?
No, it just rolls off the tongue. So just to give a rough idea of what that means is according to some benchmarks that we found online, and so you can do with that what you will. But the 1650 is about 25% better or more performant than the GTX 770, which is the pre-update 8 minimum requirement. And the RX 470 is 16% better, and the 1050 Ti is actually 16% less performant, but it has more VRAM. And again, as we've talked about in this video, VRAM is the thing that you need for the game at this point. So that's why the 1050 Ti should probably also be okay. And one thing to mention, I think, here is also like, it was kind of tricky, like, well, what is the minimum requirement supposed to be? Do you need like these hardware or else the game doesn't run at all? And that's not really sort of like what we might mean by minimum, because we've seen people play with integrated cards before when like our minimum spec was a dedicated card. But the thing is, their results vary wildly from not being able to play at all or, abysmal FPS. It's the same kind of thing here. What our minimum specifications sort of like aim for is the minimum required specifications to be able to play Satisfactory like meaningfully, whatever that means.
Recommended settings. Recommended cards and above.
Okay, not like the bare minimum to get it to launch.
I think people are getting confused because obviously a lot of games mean like have minimum, right? It means minimum, yeah. But like I think a lot of people are getting confused because they're like, is this the minimum card we need? like to play the game. You know, like you can still drop underneath that and still get a good experience and stuff. But like, you know,
I think that's not really fair to
minimum recommended minimum.
specify that as minimum, okay?
Yeah.
So that's what that sort of means. Yeah, and so the main thing that was lacking in our pre-update 8 requirements was the VRAM. That was previously at 2 gigabytes. And so that's like the major thing that we're upping the minimum specs for, okay? Now, having said that, we do intend on optimize things moving forward, so we're not like done working on that. We do want to make it better. We do want to like make the game use less VRAM, so that's still a process that we're working on as well. But yeah, anyway, hopefully these newly sort of like expanded upon hardware requirements help set.
Joseph, I love Jace like before the update when he's talking about stuff. And then you've got serious Jace after the updates come, right? It's like two different people. You have work Jace and you have crazy Jace.
Expectations a little bit better for you. So that's all that I wanted to talk about today. Thank you very much for watching, and of course keep coming with the bug posts and feedback on the QA site. Questions on satisfactorygame.com. Keep letting us know what's going on. The team is still reading and we're still patching and doing what we can. Okay, thank you all so much for watching the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, leave a like and take care. Have a lovely weekend. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Had to pause for a second there because usually I'm like, I'll see you next time, but maybe I won't. I think this might be my last Friday video. So if you made...
Why did he have to put that in there?
Made it to the end here, the post...
You dick.
Credits Marvel ending. Just want to say bye. And thanks. I'll miss you. Take care. You're in good hands. Everything's going to be fine. Take care. Bye. Okay. Vamonos. Shit. Okay. Vamonos. Shit.
You. All right, Chuck. Oh, I didn't fucking wait. Here's the link. Here's the link. Go and comment on it. Go and comment on it. La 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 la. A lot. Fuck. One more time? Okay. One more time. Got it. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Okay. Okay. You got it. You got it? You got it? You good? Oh shit, was that too many? Fuck. Fuck. V. That's the link. V is the link. V is the link. Oh, mysterious girl. When you get close. Why am I singing bloody that song? What the? What the? Ba 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 da. Ba 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 da 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 da. Beep ba boop ba ba doo ba ba boop ba. Beady 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 beep. Oh. Insane settings. What did I miss? What did I miss? Ba 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 ba. Okay. How does one time out a streamer? You can't. Just like I can't time out a Twitch staff. You saw that too? Damn right. I'm bloody right, I saw it. I'm going to turn off flight mode just because I thought I might be able to play with it on, but I feel like the space is too, like, especially trying to jump up to grab your hover pack. Sometimes you do it like, you got the habit of just pressing it twice, but then you go into flight mode. So, I want to disable it. It's kind of going me crazy. Okay. So, that is that. I do have supports, right, to put underneath this. All this is missing is some escalators coming down here, you know, and passengers. I would like to power this up, but I have nothing to connect the stations to as of yet until I bring in the stations over here. Wait, did I finish off the lights? Oh, no, that's what I was doing, wasn't I? I was currently doing the lights. So do you just build the tracks with blueprint? So I built all of this with blueprints. All the thing I've added is the power towers. I said power towers, but the bloody pylons. And then just some additional stuff that needed to be added. Really. This new blueprint will get added to the next Satisfactory video when I cover this. So I expect a bloody free-for-all in Discord again with new people joining. Oh, 100%. 100%. Because I'm gonna... Hello? I'm gonna get a Satisfactory video released tomorrow. Then there'll be one on Tuesday. I think tomorrow... I'm going to... Oh, this could be funny, actually. Check out maybe some more community saves, but have looming on, and that could be kind of funny to show off people's bases, how dark they are. And let's see if they use any lights. That could be interesting. Yeah, but next week is going to be chaotic. I will be off Tuesday, and then, like, the rest of that week, going into middle of the week after, we'll be streaming every single day. So it's going to be a little bit manic. I said it, didn't I? I said it. I have to. Did I say chaos? I said manic. No, I said manic, right? I said manic.
Evil with a gift subs. Evil with a gift subs. Gifting no subs. To who? The community. Gifting 20 subs. Oh shit. Gifting 20 subs. Oh shit. Gifting 20 subs. Oh shit. My Watch is telling me I am active. It's telling me I am active. For dancing in my chair and being a fucking spoon. Thanks for the gifted subs. Evo. Thanks for the gifted subs. 20 gifted subs. To the community. Yeah. Bra. Bra, bra.
My watch was like, well done for keeping active. Bum, 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 bum. Three gifted... 3? You don't get the alert dance thing with 3. Just to round it off to 900. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. 900. You get a new badge at 900? Well, thanks for the 20 gifted, Evil, and the 23 gifted subs. New badge. Knowing me, knowing you. Are you powered? Okay, you are. Cool. Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. Apparently you get a funny face. That's the face you get with 3 gifts. That's 900 though, man. 900. Saying that though. How quick is it? It's got you quick to 900. You got up there like this year, right? Right? Am I wrong? Like the last 6 months? Yeah. Madness. Bam, bam, bam. That's 900 people he's helped watch ad-free. Sub till goal met. Wait, what's that? So what goal is met? Oh, you mean the one that keeps at 1,000 sub points? Is it that one you mean? Oh yeah. That's the 1,000 sub goal. So that's what I'm currently sat on now. This right here is what I'll if no one subbed from now until the end of the month, on the 1st of July, I'll be on 406. Yeah. So that one is for the sub points. And then this one here is what I would get paid next month. Does that make sense? Because the ones that are in that 900 and something, some of them are still from last month. Hydrate. That's cold. After it is released on public, can you still play on the save that you started on experimental? Yes. It'll carry over. Indeed. All right, now the lights are done. We're actually done with the highway, right? Are we done with the highway? We've done the barriers, train lines, all set up, power. Yeah, we're good.